Hey YouTube, this is Licious Kid from ClimaxCombo, back with another leaks for the week. This week we are just finishing off with Project Diva F second. This was supposed to be up Saturday, but then I recorded it Saturday, and then Sunday I rewatched it, because I always do, and then I realized my mic wasn't plugged in, so it was just me scrolling down through the pages, and you couldn't hear a word I was saying, and it was really awkward. So here I am redoing it for you guys, but it's all good, because I enjoy doing these anyways. But, yeah, I'll just get right to it now. First off, did I mention this is the final week for Project Diva F second? Hmm, I don't remember. But anyways, I'll just say it again. Project Diva F. This is the final week for Project Diva F second. It did come out last Friday. The entire list is out, and if you guys do want to see it, I will put a link for it in the description below. But yeah, now we will finally get to it. First off, is this 2-1 Len 7-5. Combos with the 2K1, so does the Kaito, so I'll just go over all of them first. So what he does is when he's played from hand to stage, this card gains power plus X until the end of the turn, where X is the number of music characters you control multiplied by 500. And then he combos with the 2K1, and so when you play the 2K1 and this card is on the center stage, you may choose one of your opponent's characters and move it to an empty border on your opponent's stage. Next up is this Kaito 1045, uncommon. When you have 3 or more music characters, it gets plus 1k, so he sits at 5-5. And then combos with the 2k1. When he attacks with the 2k1, he gets plus 15. And the following effect: when this card reverses its opponent in battle, you may place that card to the bottom of its owner's deck. Once again, the 2k1. This is the SR art. So what I think about these cards, I think these cards are pretty cool. I guess first off, I'll go with the Kaito, because I think the Kaito is what makes this combo pretty good. Because at worst, okay, so he's usually going to be a 1055, which is pretty good. He's vanilla power, which is, not the worst thing ever. And he does combo with the 2K1. 2K1, that in itself is already pretty good because it does break even. And yeah, it breaks even, and it helps you it helps you win fights. But so when he attacks with the 2K1, he gets plus 15, so he sits at 7k base. And he has anti-Encore essentially, which is really good because a lot of level 1s nowadays do depend on Encore for their survivability. And this Kaito can just ruin their game plan. You can just play 2 of these Kaitos, play 2k1, and then they will both be 7k at the least. If you have 2 500 assists, one of them being global at the very least, then they will both be 8ks. And then you can 2k one of them, and one of them will be 10k. And 10k is usually enough to force a backup or put them out of backup range so that you can guarantee the kill. And if you kill their 1/1s with Encore and then put it to the bottom of the deck, that can really hinder your opponent's game plan and just like ruin how their deck is supposed to flow. And that in itself can really push you far ahead in the game. And yeah, just because of that reason, I think it's good because it's costless. Without the combo, it's 5-5. With the combo, he's at least 7k, and the combo is costless, and he is costless, and it's a 2k1. So in general, I think this Kaito is pretty cool. Can just can really help you out in some situations. And if your opponent is not dependent on Encore, you just 2k1, and at least he's 107k, which is not the worst thing ever. So overall, I think this Kaito is pretty cool. If your local runs a lot of decks that depend on level 1 Encores, then this Kaito can work to your advantage. And because I think the Kaito is cool, if I was running the Kaito, you might as well run one of these Lens, because this Len is a back row killer. So when you play from hand to stage, he gets plus 500 per character. This does include himself, so he can hit 10k, which is okay. Demands your opponent to respond to it, hopefully, unless they're just that strong. Anyways, it does demand some respect, but also with 2k1, this is of course a back row killer, because when you play the 2k1, you move a back row character to the front stage, probably maybe like a assist, a pretty good assist, maybe like the 1-0 Encore Kanade, or you could just bring a level assist, or a global assist, who knows. You could just bring an assist to the front and kill it right off the bat. And of course, if you have the Kaito, you can bot deck it just to guarantee that your opponent will never get it back. But still, yeah, this line is okay. If you're going to run the 2k1 combo with the Kaito, why not run a couple of these? Why not run 1 or 2 of these Lens? Because you can kill their back row characters. So yeah, in general, I like these. I like the Kaito, and the Len is alright. So yeah. Next up is his event 1-0 common. Yellow, So what this does is all your front row music characters end up falling effect until the end of the turn. When this card is sent from stage to waiting room, you may place this card into its original border in rest. So pretty much it gives all your characters encore because when they die, they come back to rest, which is okay. You do -1 in hand size because this event is of course a -1. But minusing 1 in hand size to save all 3 of your characters is pretty good because if your opponent's like front stage is just too strong for you to deal with, you can just play this event, crash all 3 of your characters into them, and then they will all come back in rest. So that way you deal the full amount of soul damage that you could have done, and you don't have to take a direct hit. And that's worth it. That's worth 1 hand size. So yeah, that being said, will people be running this? I still don't think people are going to run this because it is a minus in hand size, and your goal shouldn't be ramming your characters in. Your goal should be trying to kill your opponent's character, because at level 1, if you're forced to crash all 3 of your characters into your opponent's characters, you're probably going to fall far behind, because that turn your opponent doesn't have to play characters, doesn't have to pay out stock, and just builds up more hand size and just builds up more stock, and that alone can just push you far ahead, because after that he's probably going to kill your characters, because if you couldn't kill their characters, how would you defend against theirs? You know what I'm saying? So this card can be replaced with another card that helps you kill your opponent's characters instead. But yeah, so still it's it's okay. It's okay for a common. I don't think people are going to be running it because, like I said, I'd rather be using up the spot for better cards. But I guess it's not the worst thing ever. Next up, Tuesday Sleek. First off is this 2/2 Len. He's 8/5. He's an R. He's 2 soul. He combos with his 2k1 with his really long, weird name. But anyways, what he does is when he attacks with the 2k1, you can discard a card. If you do, search your deck for 1 music character, add it to your hand. This card gets plus 2k until the end of your opponent's turn. Once again, the 2k1. What I think about this Len, I think this Len is pretty bad because first of all, it's 2/2, 2/2s without, or it's a 2/2 without encore, and it's undersized 8/5. 2/2s without encore is pretty how do I say this? Hit or miss, because if your 2/2 dies the next turn, you really push yourself far behind. It really does hurt. So that's why 2/2s with encore are generally a bit better, because that way you can encore them. So you can gain more stock with them and still attack with 2 soul. However, because this does not have encore, it's only 8/5, it's probably going to die next turn, the turn you play it. Sure, you can 2k1 and he'll be 10/5 base because of the climax combo. You 2k1 himself, he'll be 12/5 for 4 assists. But still, like the combo doesn't even plus you because you have to discard a card from your hand, so you only break even. And like the timing can be a little awkward because if let's say you just hit level 2, you have the Len in your hand, you have the 2k1, but you only have 10 cards left in your deck. There is a chance that the card that you want to search is not in your deck. So it's like I said, of course if you refresh first and then you get these 2 off, then of course it's much better. But a lot of times when you hit level 2 before the first refresh, you're not gonna. Yeah, there's a lot of times where you hit level 2 before the first refresh. So like I said, the timing can be awkward. It doesn't even plus you. It lacks encore. Sure, at your opponent's turn, it'll be 10/5 base, but still 10/5. A lot of cards can hit high numbers nowadays. So in general, this Len just sucks in my opinion. There's a lot more better combos in Diva now. So why would you even consider this? Next up is this you could be running the level 3 Miku combo or even this thing. So yeah, just Len just sucks. Why is it an R? Anyways, next up is this 2/1 Luca, 3k, it's an R. It is a 1000 in front assist. It's being underpowered, meaning as another effect, when it's played from hand to stage, you can pay 1. If you do, choose 1 blackjack from your waiting room and return it to your hand. Blackjack is this event right here. It costs 1, it's red. When you play this event, you mill the top 5 cards of your deck, place them to the waiting room, and deal X damage to your opponent, where X is the number of climaxes amongst those cards. So if you hit 4 climaxes, you deal 4 damage. If you hit 2 climaxes, you deal 2 damage. If you hit 0 climaxes, you deal nothing. What I think about Blackjack, I think Blackjack is pretty inconsistent. It is a level 1 back event, however you'll probably be using it at level 3, because at level 3 that is when every damage counts. Using Blackjack at level 1 can uh, probably screw you over because it's a -1 in hand size and it is a -1 in stock. And, just those two alone hurts a lot at level 1, because at level 1 you really do want to be trying to build up your hand size and trying to build up a lot of stock to prepare yourself for level 2 and 3. And, Blackjack goes against that. Sure, you can deal a potential amount of damage, but, if you want to deal a lot of damage, you're probably better off with a 1k 1 soul, to be honest, or a +2 soul climax, or a stock 1 soul climax. So, and Blackjack can be inconsistent because if you hit 0 climaxes, then you paid 1, and you minus yourself for a crappy brainstorm. You might as well be brainstorming at that point. If you hit too many climaxes, you can really hurt yourself because, it's so unpredictable what you're going to hit. So just those two reasons alone, I just don't like Blackjack. And, because I don't like Blackjack, I would be running this assist, because this assist is underpowered, and the only reason you'll be running this is so that you can grab Blackjack again. Maybe you could just do like some fun burn build with these, like you could just play Blackjack over and over again, and then level 2 grab all the Blackjacks again, and then play Blackjack again, and then burn your opponent for a fuck ton of damage, and then after the Lucas die, you can play the double R Luca that we saw 2 weeks ago, the one that combos with the +2 soul to grab these again, and you play them again next turn, and you go to Blackjacks, and you just burn your opponent, and since the Luca combos the +2 soul, you're just dealing that much more soul damage, and just a lot of fun times. But still, like I said, I think that is fan deck, and we're not here to talk about fan decks. But still, I just don't like this card. And yeah, unfortunate, because I like the song. I like the song itself, and this card is pretty sexy, but unfortunately, it does not make the cut. Next up, Wednesday's League. It's this 1/1 Miku 7k uncommon. During the battle of this card, all players are not able to play any backup abilities from their hand, meaning character backups. Because event backups, such as this one, does not actually have the text backup. Like right here, choose one of your music character, gets +2k until the end of this turn. It doesn't actually have the text backup, so you can use it along with this 1/1, and that is the idea. Because, you play this 1/1, you attack your opponent's character, they can't back up, assuming they don't have any event backups. Next turn they attack you, you play the event backup, so that way, they lose the fight. And next turn, rinse and repeat. So in a way, you're kind of cheating, quote unquote, because you have backups while your opponent does not. However, if your opponent do run event backups, then this card is completely meaningless. It's just a 1/1/7k vanilla. And at that point, what's the point? Because we have the 1/1 Mako with Clock Encore, it has Clock Encore. It's 10 times better. But still, these cards are pretty much hit or miss. In certain matchups, this card can really wreck on your opponent. There are cards similar to this, like the 1/1 Kogami from Psychopath, the 1/1 Kotori from Love Live. I've actually tried that Kotori a couple times. It's really good in certain situations, like against Milky Holmes. They can't use their character, their 3k Santa, whatever that card, that backup, that costs us 3k backup. And if they can't use a cost us 3k backup, they can do the clock swap shenanigans during your turn. And it can really just ruin their game plan at level 1. However, during certain matchups, this card is just a 1/1 vanilla and doesn't do anything for you. And if you don't draw into these event backups, because, them being event backups, you have to draw into them. And if you don't ever draw into them, then this card is, hurts you just as much as it hurts your opponent. So, in general, this card is just too hit or miss, and I would not be running it. And Diva has some pretty sick backups now. They have the Len backup, they have the Mako backup from the new set. Those backups are really good. So if you accidentally play this at level 3 or at level 2, your opponent can play around your really strong backups by attacking to this Miku. So in general, I wouldn't run this. I mean, you can. I know a lot of players like these cards like this, but in my opinion, too inconsistent. And like I said, Diva has some really cool backups. And this event backup is not that good, to be honest. It's just a 102k. Not really worth a spot, in my opinion. Next up, we have this really good card, though. It's a 0/0 1500R. I really like this card. So what it is that first of all, it's a level 0 Suicider. That alone makes it pretty splashable. But what does it? The second effect is where is what I love about this card. So you pay 1, place the top card of your opponent's deck into the waiting room, then choose 1 card from your opponent's waiting room and place it back on top of his deck. There's a 0/0 Kotori with this exact second effect in Love Live. If you have watched my deck profile, I've talked about that Kotori and why I like it so much. But if you guys have not, I will just restate why I do like the second effect a lot. So essentially, this card is it's kind of like a win-win situation because the best time to use this card is probably at level 3. When your opponent's level 3, you drop down this Miku. You pay 1. You mill the top card of your opponent's library. If you hit a climax, that's really good because that's 1 less cancel for them. And then you get to choose what goes back on top. Of course, you're not going to be stupid and place another climax back on top. You're going to choose a character. The ideal character you would probably put is a level 3, because if you put a level 3 back on top and you attack, you know the top card is going to be a character card. So you can attack with this Miku, dealing 1 soul damage, put that level 3 into the clock. That, now your opponent can't salvage the level 3 by, gating or by events. They have to heal it off and then grab it. Just, of course it's totally possible, but it's just, more work on your opponent that just should have never happened. Or of course they can use clock brainstorm, but most of the time your opponent will not be able to salvage it, or it just makes them put a lot more work to salvage it. And this does guarantee 1 damage. So, and at level 3, 1 damage is all you really need to win the game sometimes. And let's say you pay 1, you don't hit a character. Same thing, just put another level 3 back on top, and they're same situation. So, at best, you make your opponent lose a cancel, you put a level 3 back on top, and you put that level 3 into clock. At worst, you still put a level 3 back on top, because if you hit a character, you put another character back on top, at least you know that you're going to deal 1 guaranteed damage, or that they're going to take at least 1 character, or that at least 1 character is on top. So in general, it's pretty much a win-win situation. And why this Miku is so good is that it's a level 0 Suicider. All decks should be running level 0 Suiciders in some shape or form. So you should be running this Miku because it's a level 0 Suicider and it has a potential of winning you a couple games. And it's also a pay 1. So at level 0, if you hit, like first turn, you hit a climax, you have no way of paying it out except by, you don't have a Brainstormer, you don't have a Searcher in your hand. You can play the Miku to pay out you can use the Miku to pay out the climax. Sure, it's not the best way to pay out the climax because you're not really plussing or getting any real advantage off of it. But hey, at least you were able to do so, and this Miku just gives you that option. And yeah, this card is just super easy to splash in, and this pay 1 effect can help you win a couple games. So in general, I think this Miku is just too good to pass up. And I really wish I had this Kotori. I really like that card. But with all the new cards coming in, it's really hard to make space for that card. But, if Kotori was a Suicider, then it'd be really easy. But, can't have it all. But still, in general, I just love this Miku. I think it's super good. And the triple R art of this card is fantastic as well. Anyways, let's move on. 2/1 8K Miku, uncommon. I think this card's quite interesting as well. So when this card declares an attack, you may pay cost, which is pay 1, discard a card. If you do, this card is plus 4k, and your opponent cannot activate any Encore abilities until the end of the turn. And of course, this does apply to pay 3 Encore, Clock Encore, Hand Encore, pay 1 Encore, all that jazz. And so yeah, why I think this card is interesting is because it is not tied to a Climax combo. All you have to do is pay 1, discard a card when she attacks. And she'll gain plus 4k, which is a respectable amount. She will be 12k base. If you have a level assist, she'll be 13k. If you have a 500 global, she'll be 13.5, which does happen quite often. So yeah, 13.5 will kill off most level 2s, if not all level 2s. Will kill off all level 1s unless your opponent has some retardedly strong backups or some retardedly strong level 1s, like maybe Railgun, but still. Still a really solid card because you lock your opponent out of Encore for the turn. And, nowadays a lot of cards or a lot of decks are dependent on Encore. If your opponent is running a 2-3 change, you can surprise them. You can either kill it off straight up because it's just too powerful your opponent, and let's say your opponent's playing something like Angel Beats, then they can encore it. Like if they're running a 2-3 change and they're depending on encore to keep it alive, you can just surprise them by playing this Miku and just really push them far behind. Of course, this also applies if your opponent is running a level 1 game. A lot of decks, how do I say this? A lot of decks nowadays skip a level 2 game and just focus on a strong level 1 game. Just try to survive level 2 with their level 1s and then just focus on a strong level 3 game. And decks like those, the level 1s usually have Encore, so that way you are guaranteed field. However, if you play this Miku against decks that do rely on that strategy, then you can really ruin them because you just ruined their Encore. And, it is a little intensive because you pay 1 for the Miku, you have to pay an extra 1, so in total it does cost 2. Discard a card from your hand to activate this effect. This card can work to your advantage because if you're about to refresh because you're level 2, which happens quite often, you can just discard a Climax from your hand, or you can even pay out a Climax by attacking with her, and then lock your opponent out of Encore, win a fight with Miku because she's 12k, and lock them out of Encore. So in general, because I think this card can be quite advantageous, and it is not ClimaxCombo dependent, I think it is worth your consideration when you make a deck that runs blue. Definitely, I think it is a cool one of tech. Not good against all decks, but hey, it's probably good against most decks. So with that out of the way, let's go on to Thursday's leak. Next up is this really good card. It is a 002K. This card is originally a double R. However, the picture here is the triple R version, but do keep in mind it is a double R. What she does is once per turn, if you use an act ability or startup, when you use an act ability, which is also known as a startup, choose one of your characters, gets plus 500 power until the end of the turn. Next up is she's a brainstormer. You pay 1, rest 2. Mill the top 4 cards of your deck. For every climax you hit, search your deck for 1 music character and add it to your hand. As you guys know, Search Brainstorm is really good because it allows you to grab the cards that you want. It allows you to compress because you're getting rid of cards from your library. And yeah, just that alone makes Search Brainstorm really strong. It is, and you do plus in hand size. Yeah, they had a plus Brainstorm in the first set, the 00 Miku blue one, the one that lets you draw for every climax. But, to be completely honest, searching is most of the time better than drawing because, drawing doesn't allow you to grab the answers that you need or that you want. It's too inconsistent because you don't know what you're drawing into. You can draw into more climaxes, which can hurt you. And yeah, of course, the advantage of the draw one is that you get to draw into climaxes and events, which you can't search by using this. But still, 9 out of 10 times, searching is just better because it's more consistent. And yeah, just that alone makes this Brainstorm really good. But this Brainstorm alone makes this card playable. However, this other effect is what really pushes it up to. It's what makes it from good to awesome. Because when you use a startup, you choose one of your characters, gets 500 power. It's only a measly 500, but why not? It's a Brainstorm, which is already really good. So why not give it another effect? This effect is actually pretty good because it's pretty easy to use startups on Diva. Yeah, you can use the 39 Get Miku. I don't think you're going to be running that card anymore, to be honest, but, just something up at the top of my head. Yeah, you could use that. There's a lot of startups in Diva, I think. I'm pretty sure. And yeah, you can even Brainstorm and just activate her first effect. You can just keep her in the back and, just Brainstorm, give your characters a little mini boost. And also do keep in mind this does work on your opponent's turn because when your opponent attacks you, you can use a backup. And then, since it is a startup, you can give an extra 500 to one of your characters. It can be the same character, and that extra 500 power, your opponent might not be putting that into consideration because they just forgot about this Miku's first effect. And yeah, just can really help you out at times. So, in general, I think this Miku is super awesome. This Miku is just really cool, and it's really cute. So yeah, in general, great card. Unfortunately, it is a double R, so it is going to be expensive. I do imagine this card being a staple. I don't imagine it, I know. I'm sorry, but yeah, I'm 100% sure this card is going to be a staple in Diva decks. Unfortunate, because it's double R, it's going to be expensive. But this game is expensive in general, so it's to be expected. Next up is this 2-1 event backup. It's a common. This card is, it's okay. You pay 1 mill, or it's first of all, choose one of your characters, gets plus 2k for the turn. Next up, after that, you mill the top 3 cards of your deck, place them into the waiting room. If there's a climax amongst those, you give another one of your characters plus 2k until the end of the turn. So at best, it can be a 4k backup, but at worst, it's just a 2k backup. Of course, you do mill 3, which can be advantageous at times because if your opponent is attacking you, you use the backup. If you mill 3 characters, your chances of canceling goes up by quite a lot. Of course, if you hit 3 characters, you don't get the extra 2k. But honestly, I think hitting 3 characters is better than getting the extra 2k because, more power doesn't help you win the game. Canceling helps you win the game. And, every cancel does give you that much of a higher chance of winning. So, in general, it's okay. I would play this as a mill 3 backup. But in this set, we saw the Len backup a couple weeks ago, the one that's like Sheena and or Akatsuki. Very exact copy of those cards, and that card alone is pretty good, because in tight situations, if you want to get all your climaxes back, why rely on this when you can just rely on Len to mix all your cards back and get your deck back nice and clean with climaxes. So in general, I don't think this backup is going to be ran, or this event backup is going to be ran, just because of the existence of the Len backup. If you like mill 3 backups, then by all means go ahead and run this, but it's an event, you can't salvage it, and yeah, I think the Len is better, but still, it is here for you. It is a common, so hey, can't complain. Next up, we have this 2-1 Miku 6-5 uncommon. What she does is, if you have 5 or more stock, she gets plus 2k, so she sits at 2-1 vanilla power. And this second effect, place 2 of your characters to rest. Choose one of your characters, gains the following ability until the end of the turn. When this card reverses its opponent in battle, you may place the top card of your deck into stock. What I think about this card, I think this card is pretty bad because it costs 1. This effect right here, the one that you get to rest 2, give one of your characters the stock ability until the end of the turn. I really like that card. I really like that effect. I think it's really good. However, I don't think it's good when the character that gives that ability costs 1 itself, because you kind of have to, the first time you accomplish this effect, you've just paid for this card. The second time you use it, then that's when it starts getting, that's when it actually starts building you advantage. However, this card is only a 2-1-8-5. Ideally, it is going to be a 2-1-8-5. If you're losing pretty hard, then it's only going to be a 2-1-6-5, which really sucks. So yeah, because it costs 1, I don't like this card because you have to get it off twice. Sure, if you do have 5 stock, it is an 8-5, but let's be real, 2-1-8-5 is pretty weak. So yeah, just because of those reasons, I don't like this Miku. I don't think it's going to be ran. If you want a lot of stock, then this card is a lot better, which we'll talk about right now. 2-0 event, common, melt. Choose one of your characters. It gets plus 1k and the following effect until the end of the turn. When this card reverses its opponent in battle, place the top card of your deck to stock. And then the final effect, place this card to stock. This place this card to stock effect always happens. You don't have to reverse your opponent's character for this effect to go off. So essentially, you play the event, buff one of your characters plus 1k, give it the effect, then the event goes in first. So yeah, right there, you losing 1 hand size for 1 stock. However, when you kill one of your opponent's character, you gain an extra stock. So essentially, you're getting 2 stock for 1 card, which is pretty good depending on how you play your deck. If your deck is super stock intensive late game, then this card can really help you set up for the late game. It kind of sucks that it's at level 2. The other card that pops in my head is the Little Busters event. The Little Busters event is at level 1. It doesn't give the extra power boost, but being able to play this event at level 1 is probably better because it doesn't clog up your hand size, and you can just start building up more stock at level 1. So yeah, but still, in general, I think this event is pretty good, just depending on how you play your deck, because I'm sure. Oh, spoilers! That's supposed to be for next week. Shit. Anyways, because of the existence of this level 3 9 cost event. I've talked about this last week, but if you can get this event off, it can be quite devastating for your opponent. If not, it can really hurt your opponent if they even survive. I mean, most of the time, if you play this event, your opponent's probably just gonna die anyways. But still, because this event costs so much, cost a whopping 9 stock. I think the viability of this card goes up because I'm sure there will be a couple players that. Oh, oops, my bookmarks are shown. There we go. I usually cover that. But anyways, it's no big deal. Anyways, just because of the existence of this event, I'm sure a lot of players will be playing this card just cause for kicks, or hey, maybe it actually will be quite scary. Diva does have a lot of stock generating cards. They have the odds and end ClimaxCombo from the first set, the PR. That card has gone insanely up in price ever since this card has been announced. I think that card's like $15 now. I'm not even sure. It could have gone up or could have gone down, but last time I checked, it was pretty damn expensive. So I'm sure the hype train is strong. But anyways, you got the PR, you got this event, the double R plus that goes along, that you can advance summon at level 2, gives you 1 stock. So, Diva has a lot of nice ways to build stock. And yeah, maybe if you're planning on playing this 3-9 event, this melt event can really help you accomplish that task. This hitting 9 stock at level 3 is not just a dream anymore. It can be quite possible with this. Maybe, people will make these decks revolving around this event, just like how people play Persona, and a couple decks are based off execution. Yeah, execution heals you a shit ton and gives you a lot of hand size, but if you play this event and you successfully get it off, who cares about healing when you can just kill your opponent straight up? So yeah, in general, I think this card is interesting. It is only a common, so you can't complain. It's a pretty damn good common, and it makes the viability of this climax or of this event higher and makes you able to live the dream. But yeah, that is actually the final leak of this week because, I'm sure many of you guys know, Bushiroad, typical Bushiroad, Friday, before the Friday the set comes out, they just re-show a lot of the cool cards, and of course, they're just re-showing the Mikus. So that is the end of this week. Of course, not as cool as last week's, because last week they showed all the really cool double R pluses. This week, we didn't get any double R's or double R pluses. However, we still got a lot of solid cards. I mean, I like this Kaito. I don't know if people are going to be playing it, but I think it's not bad, to be honest. I mean, the Kaito is only an uncommon, so hey, you can't complain. Yeah, these suck. I really like this Miku. I really like this Suicider. I think it's godlike. This is an interesting card. Not, to play. I think this Brainstorm is really good too. And I think, Melt's a pretty fun card. And I like the song Melt a lot too. So, that's there for you. But yeah, strong cards this week. And yeah, in general, I think Project Diva F second, the booster itself, is really going to make Diva that much better. Diva, pretty lackluster first set, let's be honest. It's not the greatest set. It's kind of gimmicky, and then the promos came, gave it a little more of a fighting chance, but it just wasn't enough to put it into competitive level, or tournament level, I should say. But maybe with Project Diva F second now, maybe it will be with this plethora of new level 3s that are actually quite interesting. A lot of really good cards now. They have this, really good Suicider. They have really good backups. They have a really good Brainstorm now. They can, have a pretty solid level 2 game in the form of this double R plus. They have pretty strong end game with the clock shooting, the burning. They even have like a lot of back row killing. Just a lot of really cool cards. They have a solid 1/1 clock encore now. Just yeah, like I said, just a lot of really strong cards in the set now. Adds a lot of flavor to Diva, and I'm really excited to see what people bring to the table with Diva. I hope it does become tournament level because I'm sure many of you guys do. I'm sure you guys do know, like before we got the partnership, a lot of our videos had Vocaloid songs, and Miku being my favorite Vocaloid, as a lot of people like Miku, and I'm one of them. A lot of Miku being my favorite Vocaloid. It's just a set I've always wanted to invest to. However, I never, when the first set came out, I was like, too gimmicky, too weak, not really up my alley. But if Diva does become really strong, and next year if there's no new sets I like, maybe I will invest into Diva. So yeah, that is all for this week. This next week we are starting Nisekoi. I've already pre-ordered 5 boxes for those. So I will be continuing off next month's Leaks of the Weeks all the way until August 22nd. I'm not too sure what's starting after that, but whatever. This month we have a long month of Nisekoi. I hope you guys look forward to that. I sure am. I mean, first day level 3, how do you not get excited? But anyways, that is for next week. I will be going over Nisekoi. I hope you guys don't get, hope you guys aren't tired of me just yet because we have another month of Leaks of the Week to go. But yeah, look forward to Nisekoi next week. If you guys are getting the set, let me know. And until next time, guys.